Hello, it's Orlando Caesar. I hope you are doing extremely well. I hope you're somewhere between great and fantastic. I hope you are having an outrageous good time. The purpose of this video is to share some insight into some of the things that I may have encountered or that I did encounter as a black man growing up in the United States, specifically as a black man growing up in the pharmaceutical industry. Let me share with you a couple of situations, scenarios, and give it to you in such a way that I want you to think about and then wonder how you would have handled a particular situation. One of the things I did earlier in my career was to use my sense of humor to diffuse situations as they happened, or to diffuse situations in my mind so that I could better cope with what happened. Okay, my first job in the pharmaceutical industry as a sales rep, I took a battery of tests with my boss's boss. He was so ecstatic when he graded the tests. And he started off by saying, "Orlando, I don't want you to be offended, but I am pleasantly surprised by your test scores." Because I scored in the high 90s and so forth and so on. And he said, even the language that you use on the essays is the exact same language we would expect you to use when calling on your physicians. And I'm thinking, what am I supposed to do? Break out in Swahili in the middle of a presentation? But I smiled, looked at him and said, "I told you when you hired me that I was the man for the job." So in that situation, the humor helped settle me so that I could then respond in the right way. My first promotion, I am in the home office, and one of the things that would happen at noontime, all of the guys, and at that time it was all guys, we'd all march down to the cafeteria and we would have lunch. Now, one of the guys was a master storyteller, and he had every joke imaginable that was related to race, sex, disability. He had every joke. So he spent his time during lunch entertaining everybody, and everyone was laughing and having a good time. But I noticed from his jokes that there were never any jokes about black people. So one day off to the side, when he was speaking, I said, "Can I ask you a question? By my presence here, I would imagine that I am depriving you of some of your best material." He paused, looked away and said, "Yeah, you're probably right." But that was my way of putting him on notice that I noticed what he was doing. Classically, he would do that all the time. So when you see those kinds of things happen, you have to determine, how am I going to respond to this? Because at that stage of my career, I did not want to say anything that would cause any problems. Because first of all, I was in my first promoted position, and I was a considerable distance from my home in Chicago. We were speaking with one of the vice presidents once, and he's looking around the room. I was in management at the time. And he looked around the room and he noticed that I was the only black person in that particular position. So he looked at me and said, "Orlando, every time I look around the room and I see only one black person in the room, I get upset." My response was, "Imagine how I feel. I look around the room and I don't see any." Whole room uproar. It was an uproarious event. Everybody started laughing, but I made my point. I was the only one. So there are many other stories that I have to tell, and I will tell over time to let you know some of the things that I experienced, I was going through, what a lot of people of color have gone through and are currently going through in our current environment. So the goal is, at the end of the day, to have us to be anti-racist rather than just non-racist. This is Orlando Caesar, having an outrageous good time. I wish you and your family the very best. Have a good day. Bye.